Welcome, everyone, to the inaugural episode of the Retro Wave. I am your host, El Tiburon. Just a little bit about the show. This show is pretty much going to be all things retro, from wrestling to horror movies to cartoons to those awesome Koala Yummy commercials from the 90s. Pretty much just everything in a nutshell that we grew up watching and listening to. So I'd like to introduce my guest, Mr. 24/7, Mr. One Night Dance, Mr. SoCal Indie Wrestling Legend, Sexy Chino. How's it going, Chino?
It's good. Thanks for having me, man. Yeah, the nice accolades. Hopefully I can live up to them sometime in the future or current past, present.
So why
So
don't you
yeah.
tell, before we move forward, why don't you tell the people a little bit about who Sexy Chino is?
Uh, well, if you ever heard of Secticino, Secticino is it's somebody who enjoys being part of wrestling. He he really enjoys being part of the business in general, and then going out there and performing or wrestling in front of people, and likes to give back. Likes to have a good time, and and out there and work hard for everybody, and just out there to do what a lot of guys and people want to do. Just they want to enjoy this business. And that's what section is all about. Willing to work hard and pretty much just enjoy the time being in that ring. Because then, if you know from two experiences, one time, all it takes is one injury, and you could be gone from this game just like that.
That sounds kind of like my career, I think. Well, I wouldn't even call it a career. My cup of coffee in indie wrestling. I think I was kind of
Yeah,
like I had the Ahmed Johnson syndrome, where I would constantly get hurt.
yeah, you were like injury prone. Is that what you consider yourself?
The funny thing is that I think a lot of my injuries didn't even happen in the ring. A lot of them happened because I would play basketball like 3 times a week at the, like, on concrete courts. So I think that's the funny part, that a lot of those injuries weren't even wrestling related. Yeah, but so today's topic, we're going to be talking about our favorite all time WrestleMania matches. And just a quick disclaimer for me, at least, I haven't really been watching the last few years of WrestleManias. So you're probably not going to hear about you're not probably going to hear about any Roman Reigns matches or anything like that. Most of my picks, I think, are probably like 90s, early 2000s, maybe some 80s. So yeah. So I don't know about you. Are you like pretty caught up with all the WrestleManias?
Yeah, I'm pretty caught up on the WrestleMania. I still watch the product here and there. I understand. Uh, I'm always checking out like the new talent. I also have my friends in the business, so I always check them out too. So yeah, yep, that's what we do.
Very cool. Yeah, and before we get, started, I also wanted to talk about how you and I met, because if it wasn't for wrestling, our love of wrestling, we would have never met. So we met in 2000, summer of 2000. I remember that clearly because I had just graduated from high school, and I think I had already signed up, or I already knew I was going to sign up to XPW. So for those of you that don't know, XPW was pretty much SoCal's version of ECW, right? Is that fair to say?
Well, yeah, but the difference is that Rob Black is no Paul Heyman.
So it was pretty much the Dollar Tree SoCal version of ECW.
Yeah, but think about it, XPW, much as people hate on things like that, it had a lot of people that went through it that actually became bigger stars in this business and really became like head coaches and helped out to create new talent for the business. that are literally in like AEW or WWE or Ring of Honor, things like that.
Well, that
So
is true because I remember when I used to watch like they used to have I think shows on Saturday like on public access, and I used to be like a big fan of like the Messiah and Dynam. Of course, our trainer,
kind
the
of,
late great Dynamite D, and then you had
yeah,
Chaos, which I don't know like if the school's still around, but he runs Santino Bros Academy, which has like produced a lot of wrestlers that have gone on to wrestle like WWE, right?
yeah, correct. Yeah, no, Santino's Brothers is doing great. You know, they put out they have people that actually go work for, like you said, got him picking up for WWE, and some people that got picked up for ROH, and they're putting out some good talent out there. You know, but yeah, overall, the legacy of Dynamite D continues within whoever got trained by Dio was part of it. You know, even though at the time XPW was the Asylum was more like mostly us, the students, uh, enjoying the the training from Dynamite D because we were a different class. Because remember, there was somebody who was teaching before Dynamite D because some of the other guys
And we were
that's
talking about the other day, and I think I remember the guy's name. Wasn't he Damian Steele? Was that
Damien
it?
Steele. Yeah, they said that they said he was training people, and that was probably people don't know it's like Loki Steve or like Zach, but they used to call him in the business he was known as the redheaded stepchild. Those guys were like the beginning. There used to be another guy like Jeff, I but he's totally out of it, out of the business. I haven't heard from him. The last time I heard from him, he was like living by Magic Mountain, things like that. But yeah, it's like I think we came in at I think it's built on timing. A lot of things built on timing, and basically Dynamite D was at the right time for both of us. Because trust me, we could have ended up somewhere else, you know, and we wouldn't be having this conversation because we could all be in different places in time.
Yeah, and I agree. Dynamite D was like super cool, like just a super cool person. Aside from even just like a really good trainer, like just like a genuinely like good person, and he like, yeah, I mean, he was very helpful to us, and yeah, so yeah, that's how we met. And now that I think of it, we've known each other for 21 years. So
Yeah,
last year
that
was
proves
our 20-year anniversary, and you didn't get me anything.
no, that just proves we get older by time, so it's not worth the pains, you know. It's like when you become older, like yeah, you're not into birthdays as much as you used to because then you're playing against age. You're like, oh, I don't want to get older. I don't want to get older. And then by you just getting more presents, getting getting more presents or things like that, they remind you, oh, I'm getting older. So no, yeah, you don't need a present because that means you're just getting older.
I'm just
So
saying, at least
that wouldn't work
a
for you.
box of chocolates or something you could have got me. But yeah, that's how we met. We met through the wrestling training, and like I quit pretty early on, like I think maybe like 8-10 months in. But you and we always stayed friends, and I did a little bit of like indie shows with you. Like I would like tag along sometimes. So maybe in a future episode we'll talk about like XPW stuff, like our experience as trainees,
Oh
uh,
yeah,
and also
no,
like just shows in general. I mean, you have a lot more stories. You've been wrestling straight, like pretty much 21 years. I pretty much was like 20 matches total. You wrestled like 20 years straight.
yeah, no. I've been around and I'm surprised because a lot of people got hurt, things like that. But I've been lucky. See, I can't say good at it, but I can say I'm lucky because I know a lot of friends and people in the business in general that have gotten injured really bad, and I've been really lucky that I've been able to still go and not gotten injured really bad. I did have my injuries here and there, but nothing severe that took me out. Like maybe it took me out for like 2 weeks. Yeah, but it's another story, like you said.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was a little monologue. let's get into the topic of the show. This to me, I think, will always be like the WrestleMania song. Like the, if you were to ask me which one is the WrestleMania song, I would choose this one. So let me ask you, what does WrestleMania mean to you? What did it mean to you, like as a kid? Has that changed at all, like throughout the years? Like in general, what does WrestleMania mean to you?
Well, um, and the aspects of what I've been through my wrestling career and the love of this business from like when I first came here. It means a lot because it showed me a lot of the great talent that's out there and just the moments. You know, that's the one thing in the business is that it's about moments. You know, it's like because the moments are what you're gonna remember. Sometimes you have great matches, but you can't remember everything about the matches. It's always about the moments. You know, things that are gonna stand out. Like everybody's gonna remember like when Warrior and Hogan WrestleMania WrestleMania 6, right? The Warrior wins the title. Hogan does not kick out. It's like everyone's like, oh my god, that was shocking. Because back in the day, it's like that match was like so rare to even happen.
Yeah, and just for me, like, well, for for us wrestling fans, like I'm not a big football fan, but people that are football fans and maybe even non-fans look forward to the Super Bowl. WrestleMania, like it's, everybody says it. It's pretty much like the Super Bowl of wrestling, and it's even, I don't know if like it has the same viewer. Obviously, it doesn't have the same viewers, but people like I don't really haven't really been watching as much, but every now and then I'll still check it out, right? So I think it does have a little bit of that effect where before, if you were a wrestling fan, you would watch WrestleMania, and now it's kind of like just like an event, right? It's more like an event now.
Yeah, it is a big event and it brings a lot of the wrestling business together because when they before this pandemic, like WrestleMania was there, and then everybody was running their own events, you know, like and all around the place where it was, and it was a big deal. But yeah, WrestleMania is a big deal, you know, and all over the world because that's the main thing that WrestleMania brings a lot of wrestling fans from all over the world. You know, that's hopefully what's coming back in a few years or year from now. You know, like when things get better and like you know, we get back to some sort of normalcy, as people would say, and yeah, and like more wrestling fans will come back. But yeah, right now it's all about the timing and we're just taking it slow. But yeah, WrestleMania, it makes an impact. You know, it's like it makes an impact in people's lives, and some people look at it, oh my god, and that's your big dream. Like people like the Hardy Boys were really into the WrestleMania format with Savage and Tati DiBiase, and they said that was inspirational for them to watch. You know, and like people got into it because they saw like Shawn Michaels and Razor Ramon at WrestleMania 10 ladder match, which is the first ladder match. That's it's those moments, you know, like it it just stands out. It's like any other business or wherever else. Like somebody makes that big touchdown and everyone remembers it because he did it from all the way to 10 yards all the way to the end. You know, it's like he literally ran that and it was oh my god, I still remember that because it's all about those moments, you know, and they all stand out. And that's the whole thing about the business and WrestleMania. You have moments that stand out. You have certain moments that don't like matches like oh okay they were just there, you know, but at the end of the day, you know, like those moments stand out. That's what wrestling's supposed to be. It's supposed to be something that stands out to you because you want to watch it. If there's nothing to stand out, you don't want to watch it.
Well, they
There's no
have a
reason at
even
all, you know.
they have a phrase for it. Even like everybody talks about their WrestleMania moment, right?
Yeah, correct. We all have WrestleMania moments because stuff that stood out to us in years of loving this business, or even like like you disappear for a while, but you still got those WrestleMania moments that stood out to you, and other people that just they grew out of the wrestling fandom, and then but they still remember those days with the Andre the Giant, Hulk Hogan WrestleMania threes and things like that. Ricky Steamboat versus Randy Savage WrestleMania three. You know, even though they don't remember like the most current matches that 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 happened. Or like the Bianca Belair versus the Sasha Banks
Yeah.
of the first day of WrestleMania. Maybe some, but there's people that left the business. They still remember like the old school, the Andre the Giant, the Hulk Hogan, the Ricky Steamboat, the Randy Savage, the Roddy Pipers.
Yeah. And how many WrestleManias have you been to in person?
How many WrestleManias have I been to in person?
Yeah. Do you remember?
Uh, I was I was at WrestleMania 12, 2017. Uh,
17 was the Houston one, right?
yeah, I went to that. Yeah, I did that. I also was at the one in New Orleans. The one with Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns at the end. I think that's 34 if I'm correct.
So you've been to four, right?
Yes.
I was at 12 also in the nosebleeds. Like the
Oh,
second.
I was also 21 because that it was local.
Oh, that's right.
So
That's the
that
WrestleMania goes Hollywood.
yeah, WrestleMania was solid. I was 21. So mostly the ones in California because I mean around that area. That's the ones I got to watch. But I did go to the one in Houston, which was really cool because that a lot of people consider that one of the best WrestleManias because it was a really good card.
Yeah, that was the main event was Austin Rock where Austin turned heel, right?
Yeah, that's when Austin made the turn, and I was like, oh, but yeah, it's you also have like the TLC match, like you also had Eddie Guerrero versus Tess, I believe, for the European title, and I think it was who was facing Regal? I think it was Edge.
Was
No,
that
no,
the
Edge was no Edge.
Rob Van Dam one?
No, that's the other one. That's 18. That's in Toronto.
Yeah, so I've only been to 12. Oh, you've been to another one. I know because I went to another one and I know you were there. I went to WrestleMania 12 and I went to WrestleMania Play Button.
Play button.
I don't know what number it is, but it's the one where the 49ers play. And it just said
Oh yeah, yeah, oh,
WrestleMania
yeah,
and the play button.
okay. Yeah, WrestleMania 31. Yeah, I was part of Wrestle. I did go to WrestleMania 31. Yes,
Yeah, so I've only been to
WrestleMania play
two.
button.
Yeah.
That's what you want to call it. Okay. The reason they said the reason that I don't know how legit the reason is, but they said the reason that WrestleMania did not want to put out the numbers anymore is because Vince McMahon was saying that they don't want WrestleMania to feel old.
Yeah, I guess that's, well, it's kind of, because now it's kind of like just, I mean, is this year and last year, did they number them or no?
They did number them.
Yeah, I mean, NFL still numbers them, but I don't know. Maybe it's just like, it almost feels like every WrestleMania now has like a theme where like it's like the pirate theme and then New Orleans was like a theme. Like it's less about the numbers now. It's more about like what's the theme for this year.
Yeah, but no, it was fun, man. Yeah, WrestleManias have had different matches. Like you would never did you ever think back in the day like Sting was gonna be facing Triple H?
I
Which
remember I remember that WrestleMania because after the match, like you could feel like the air got sucked out of the stadium when Sting lost. And I remember going to like get a beer, and there was this guy like in like the Sting shirt, and he's like, "I drove X amount of miles to come watch Sting, and he loses." He was like legitimately like pissed off that he drove that far just to watch him lose to Triple H. Like he wanted him to win.
I drove all this just yeah, I know. It's like hey, that's pretty good. Like it shows people have emotions and their emotion invested into the match, into add you into the persona. So that's good
Yeah.
because they could have just said, "Hey, oh well, it happened. He lost," But
Yeah.
there's some emotion back into it. That's yeah, you need emotions, and yeah, I mean, like when I saw, like, what I really thought Sting was gonna win too, because like all these years, but it
Yeah.
wasn't meant to be.
That was a like I remember going to that WrestleMania and not really like being excited for the card, but then when I was there, I was like, man, there was some like good matches, like Seth Rollins versus Randy Orton. The main event was fun. Triple H versus Sting wasn't like a technical 5-star match, but it was fun. Like DX came out and NWO came out. Like it was a fun match. It was like a fun show.
Yeah, it was fun. It was a fun event, and the funny thing is, like, people are like wondering why are the NWO trying to help Sting when Sting was always the savior for WCW going against the NWO.
Yeah, but WWE doesn't does
No, they don't care.
they don't care about
They don't
WCW.
care. They don't care about like the history of it, and it's crazy. But yeah, no, like they did DX, NWO, Sting, and Triple H, and you think about it, it's like X Pac or freaking Six Pac or the 1, 2, 3 Kid, Sean Wolfman. He could have been in the middle because remember he was part of the Wolfpack and he was also part of DX. So he was the one that was really could have been in the middle of. He could have jumped each side because
Yeah.
he literally was part of NWO and he was part of DX.
Maybe he should have come out and then taken like double cross DX and then taken off his shirt and he had an NWO shirt underneath. Yeah. All right. Well, let's get into the matches. I want to play my other second favorite WrestleMania theme. And this one I'm dedicating to my late friend Kirby. This was every time I hear this theme, it reminds me of him. And this one's for you, Kirby.
Federation, Tatanka would be successful. Hey, ever since I was a little bitty boy, I wanted to do one thing.
All right, let's get into the matches now. So we're doing top 5 each. Favorite top 5 all time. And just another disclaimer, these are our favorite. So we're not saying that these are like the 5-star technically best matches. We're saying these are our favorite. So it's going to be like, at least I can speak for myself. There's going to be some bias, maybe on nostalgia, maybe memories that are attached to it, maybe wrestlers that are attached to it. So for me, for sure, there's going to be, these are our favorite is what I'm trying to say. Right? Does the same go for you, or did you look at Dave Meltzer's 5-star rating system and pick the top 5?
To be perfectly honest, I've never really read his stuff, and I just don't go by that. I look at the wrestling business as the moment and things like that, or how I felt for the wrestler, or what kind of performance they did, or or the story that was going into it. But yeah, that's what I think. So it stood out to me, and that's why I think this five matches from WrestleMania are the ones that I appreciate the most for different aspects, but they stood out to me, and that's what I think.
Yeah, and for me, I told you a couple weeks ago, I actually did a little bit of research. So I was at a Salvation Army with my wife like a couple months ago, and she's like, "Oh, look, there's like a wrestling thing in the display case." And I went and I looked, and it was the WrestleMania anthology DVD box set. It was $80, but the cashier tipped off my wife and told her, if you come tomorrow, that sticker. You know how like Salvation Army and Goodwill have like sticker colors? And sometimes there's like half off day or whatever. So she told her, like, if you come tomorrow, it's going to be 50% off that sticker. So I took the gamble and showed up the next day in the morning, and sure enough, it was still there. Got it for $40. So when I first started thinking about WrestleMania, my favorite WrestleMania matches, I was like, what are my favorite WrestleMania matches? I don't think I had never like thought about which ones are my favorites. But then quickly I came up with like two, like really quickly. And the way I came up with them is like, I always watch these ones like once a year, couple times a year, like every year. So I'm like, well, those would be my favorite because I always go back to them. Right. So then with that box set, I kind of came down to a list of like 10 matches. So with that box set, I started going through the WrestleManias and watching those matches. And what I found surprising was some of the matches shifted in my list. Like I had certain matches ranked higher. And then when I watched them again, I was like, damn, I like this one better than that one. So that's kind of how I came up with my list. How did you come up with your list?
I came up with my list of like the stuff that stood out to me over the years. Because if you look at matches, some people just have matches, but if there's like something behind each match and there's something that stands out, that's what gets to me. It's like that's what stood out to me. It's like, whoa, that was a big moment, and that's like, yeah, that's why I chose those matches.
Yeah, so since you're the guest, we're gonna go in reverse. So we're gonna go from our fifth favorite to our first favorite, and then we'll just take turns. So since you're the guest, I'm gonna let you go first. What's your fifth favorite all-time WrestleMania match, and why? Why is it your fifth favorite?
You know why? All right, I'm gonna go with the fifth one. It's WrestleMania 8, Roddy Piper versus Bret Hart, because I like that Roddy Piper. You got to understand there's a history behind that because Roddy Piper was never pinned until that time. Hulk Hogan couldn't pin Roddy Piper back in the days. It's wonderful. Other people could not pick Roddy Piper back in the days. Even with Andre the Giant, there was disqualification wins or even count out. But yeah, it's Roddy Piper. That was the first time, if you can go on record, that Roddy Piper got pinned. And by doing that helped Bret Hart get to the next level, at least for the Intercontinental title, to put his name on that platform. So to me, that's why I chose that match in general. Plus, it wasn't something, it was more realistic. It felt more real because there was a story behind it. Because it's true, Roddy Piper he is Canadian. He did train with Stu Hart. He saw Bret grow up in the business, And when you're actually the more realistic you tell the story, and it is, the more realistic it is. And that's why this match literally felt real to me. And I really enjoyed it because they didn't have to do crazy things. It's just out there showing a good contest between each other. The crowd was looking back and forth into it. So yeah, that's the reason I liked it overall, because of just in general, the story and how it helps somebody become better in this business.
Yeah, I agree. And that one's on my list. A little bit higher than you have it. But that one's on my list too. And I agree with everything you said. And when I think about that match, one of the things I think about is this promo before the match started.
WrestleMania of firsts. As a matter of fact, this is the first time these two men are meeting for the World Wrestling Federation Intercontinental title. Champion Rowdy Piper, his opponent, a former IC champion himself, #1 contender, Bret the Hitman Hart. Gentlemen, we have arrived.
We have arrived. I gotta say, first of all, man, I gotta tell you how much I loves your family. I gotta tell you how much I loves your mom. I know this guy since he's been knee-high to a grasshopper. I remember when they were changing your potty pants. I remember even when, of course, you weren't potty trained till he was 7, but Everybody's got their problem. Remember tying bows in our shoes when we were kids? Of course, your shoes were always tied together. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter to me, because I remember when Mrs. Hart used to come down that, she used to make them sandwiches, man, throw on that bologna. Of course, only one piece of bologna, but that don't matter. I was hungry. Then she'd come up and she'd go to her little... What is this?
Yourself.
Oh, oh, this is nice, huh? Here I am having a little fun trying to make you at ease, gonna have a nice to keep them to yourself, have a nice contest, and here you want to be a hero all of a sudden, huh? You want to be a hot shot all of a sudden. You want your belt all of a sudden. Is that the idea, huh?
Look, all I care about is one thing. I want to win back the Intercontinental Belt. You got it. I'm gonna take it. That's
you keep your hands to yourself. Let me help you out a little bit, buddy. We can settle our game. Oh yeah, you damn betcha we can. That's why I do it here when I can have 1 million people watch me rip your head off.
Would have had you.
No, you wouldn't have.
Oh, thank you, gentlemen.
Bye-bye.
Bret Hart on his way to the ring.
Bye-bye.
Get ready. This should be a classic, ladies and
I
gentlemen.
don't think so.
Roddy Piper defending
Not
against
today.
the challenger. Let's get back to ringside.
Yeah, awesome promo. I always love that promo. So I'm gonna go with I can go next, and my number 5. This wasn't even in my top 5 when I first made the list, but after watching like the matches that were in my head, this one made crack the top 5. Hogan versus Mr. McMahon at WrestleMania 19. So this one, it was just like a fun match. It was just pretty much like a brawl. It was not pretty. It was just two guys like hitting each other with chairs and choking each other. And you know, we know of Mr. McMahon's wrestling skills, so not very coordinated. I don't know if that's the word we want to use. But I just thought it was a really fun match. It kind of like filled its role on the card, and it kind of like filled like a purpose. It was just there to be like a brawl, a bloody brawl. And funny enough, Roddy Piper also comes out in this match. He interferes and hits Hulk Hogan with the pipe over the head. You have any memories of this match?
Okay, like everybody else, if you ever watch this match, you're gonna remember the one where Vince McMahon is bleeding with the Prince of Mask and shows up, and you see the camera, and then he looks all evil. And like you said, this match does have a purpose, because think about the history of Hulk Hogan and Vince McMahon. You know, all them years, who started Hulkamania. You know, Vince McMahon was the promoter, but Hulk Hogan was the guy that was the wrestler that ran with the ball. You know, so yeah, it like you said, this had a story, and it probably did tell a good story in general, because it felt real. And like you said, they didn't have to be a technical wrestler, because you have bad blood between them, and it made sense, you know. And them beating up with chairs and things like that makes sense, because it was a brutal fight.
Yeah.
So it wasn't supposed to be a nice 4-5-star match, whatever. It was supposed to be a fight, because it was supposed to be Hulk Hogan versus Mr. McMahon, not even Vince McMahon, Mr. McMahon. And that itself tells you, think about that. That's a build up for like years, you know, even when Hogan left and joined WCW back in '94. You know, I was like, yeah, it was a big deal.
And the crowd like was into it. Like the crowd was into it. So like that goes to show that it doesn't matter like how many like flips you can hit, or if you can hit a 450, or how many holds, you know. It's more about, like you're saying, like the story, the history. People like understood the story. Like it was a guy that was loyal to this guy for like 20 years, and then he left, and now he's back, and now they still have this grudge towards each other. And Vince McMahon felt like he betrayed him, like he stabbed him in the back. Yeah. So that's my number 5. What's your? Let's move on to number 4. What's your number 4 favorite WrestleMania match?
Okay, my number 4 is a very intriguing match, which showed something. It helped the business become more aggressive. So I would say my number 4 would be Bret the Hitman Hart versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. I Quit match at WrestleMania 13.
All right, before you move forward with that, let me play those awesome promo packages that Todd Pittenkill used to like voice over. Let's play the little promo package before you move any forward with that.
For a decade, you fought to reach the pinnacle of your profession. Through sweat and dedication, you've earned the respect of fans, friends, and even your adversaries. Then you walk away. When you return 6 months later, nothing is the same.
I've been screwed by Shawn Michaels, the boy toy. I've been screwed by Stone Cold Steve Austin. I've been screwed by the World Wrestling Federation.
There are no friends.
There's kind of a new motto in the World Wrestling Federation. You scratch my back and I'll stab yours.
There is no respect.
Everybody in that dressing room knows that I'm the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be.
Even your fans have changed. At the heart of this change is a man who spits in the face of your every accomplishment.
Ever since you came back, you ain't done nothing but cry.
He has gained fame by attacking you physically and verbally.
Steve Austin has absolutely become obsessed with Bret Hart. Steve Austin is a rabid, he's a rabid animal.
This man mocks your legacy. He uses it as a stepping stone. Like a false prophet, he spews forth his rhetoric.
Bret Hart on his best day can't lace my boots, and I'm gonna prove that to the world. And I will beat the hell out of Bret, and that's the bottom line.
His followers carry placards singing his praise. Injustice after injustice has finally caused you to snap.
Whoa! Frustrated isn't the word for it. This is
Now, the finger is pointed at you. You're the one who's changed.
He's snapped, McMahon. He's lost it. Get him out of here. Drag him out. Just him. On my favorite back passing. That dirty, rotten son of a...
They say your ego is your enemy. What happened to you? There's only one solution. To awaken from this nightmare, you must defeat him. To regain your life and resume your legacy, you must make him beg for mercy as you squeeze the will from his bones. But what if Stone Cold Steve Austin wins? What becomes of Bret the Hitman Hart then?
So yeah, sorry for interrupting you, but I wanted to play that promo. So yeah, this one is another one that's kind of like a fight. I mean, these guys are technically like both really good technical wrestlers, but this was not a technical match, right?
No, it wasn't. But if you actually want to see a technical match between those two, watch the Survivor Series from Madison Square Garden when Bret Hart just barely coming back, 96.
Yeah, I remember that one. That was an actual
really
technical
good
match.
That was
Yeah.
a technical match.
So why did this one make your number 4?
This one made my number 4 because it, like I said, once again, it felt real. The story by itself, like the guy that doesn't want to, the guy that doesn't feel like he's getting respect, and then the other guy's just getting the rocket booster on him to say that, and the guy that doesn't want to says, I'm not leaving the mountain yet, So yeah, I like the story. I like the match. I felt like it was like I said, it was a fight. It's an I Quit match. They literally fought like crazy. They didn't sugarcoat things. They really went at it, and yeah, that's what made it fun. And and at the time, like I said, things were getting more aggressive, going towards attitude era style, and by doing that, Bret Hart was just getting to a point like, oh, he's getting mentally frustrated about the business, and he was getting and Austin was getting that rocket booster, that Austin 316, and things were going, and just the fight itself, and even had Ken Shamrock as a referee, and Bret Hart, when he hooked that sharpshooter on Austin, and Austin would not quit no matter what. You can see the pain, you can see the blood dripping, it's like, and he's fighting and he's pulling his heart out, and he just, that's it. He loses it. That's it. His the blood is too much. He passes out. He doesn't tap out. He just passes out, and that shows a lot. It's like you can beat somebody, but they're not gonna quit on you. their body quits on you, and that tells a good story. And then just how Bret Hart felt at the end, kind of stomping, and Ken Shamrock picks him up and tosses him, and then the crowd doesn't like Bret Hart because it just the double turn, like Austin was the crowd got really behind Austin, even though he was the antagonist, even tried to give a stunner to one of the refs, things like didn't want help to get to the back. But yeah, Bret Hart. And people forget about this. It's like Bret Hart came back later at the end for the main event with Sid and Taker.
Man, you're killing me with your picks because I have those on the list too. So I'm not gonna say anything about this match till I get to it. But man, I agree with everything you're saying. This was like, and I feel like it was very similar to the Piper one. Like it felt like a fight, even though like the Bret Hart Piper one had a little bit more like just wrestling. It got dirty too. Like they got like Piper started getting playing dirty.
Yeah, it's true because Piper was never always the good guy. he wasn't always the good guy. Remember he was the guy that kicked Cyndi Lauper before WrestleMania 1.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so I'm gonna move to my number 4 match: Bret Hart versus Owen Hart in the opener at WrestleMania 10. This was I don't know. I was like you. I was a big Owen Hart fan as a kid, and I remember I didn't like Bret Hart around this time. So when Owen beat him, I became an even bigger fan of Owen Hart. Like I was already a fan of the Rocket Owen Hart, just because he could do like a lot of cool stuff in the ring that not a lot of other people could do in the WWF. So when he kind of like came out and went into his own, I was all for Owen Hart. But I never thought he would beat Bret Hart because, Bret Hart was the champion. And Owen Hart was always like, jobbing or very low on the card, teaming with Coco Beware, or, you would see him on Superstars, like maybe beat some jobbers, but he would never really beat like the established stars at that time. Right. And it was just like an awesome like wrestling match. It felt like it was like Owen, like the match where Owen Hart said like, watch this, look what I can do. Like I'm just as good as Bret. Do you have any memories of this match?
Yeah, like I would have. That was like one of the matches. Like I would have put like close 6, like 6 or 7, because I think that match told another story. It's like it said like I'm the little brother. The big brother always gets everything. Plus, you also gotta understand that at WrestleMania 10, this was the opener match, and that's like and it sets the pace for the whole event.
Is that best opening match ever at a WrestleMania? If it's not, it's at least a contender.
It's a contender. It's like I just gotta remember all the matches in general, but yeah, it's really good because like you gotta understand that Owen Hart was a really good technical wrestler, and a lot of people didn't know because they saw more of his high flying stuff. And Bret Hart was a really good technical wrestler, but wasn't as much of a high flyer. And Owen Hart always had that high flyer ability, and that's one thing that Bret Hart didn't have a lot of. But he was a very good technical wrestler. And the whole thing about that match is Owen Hart didn't cheat to win that match.
I was just about to say that he beat him fair and square.
Yeah, it was like he went for the victory roll, and Owen Hart just dropped down, and that was it. And 1, 2, 3, and that's really good. Like nowadays, things have to. It feels like sometimes people gotta cheat to like this. No, that was straight out win, dude. It's like that's straight out. Like do it right in the middle of the ring. 1, 2, 3, you establish somebody. So yeah, that match has meant something, but also it built. You gotta understand this match was building from like a Survivor Series. Started building up for Survivor Series. Remember? Owen Hart was the only one eliminated from that match as a Survivor Series, and that's when he came back and started pushing Bret, and that's when the seeds were planted.
Yeah, so, and speaking of the build, you can't forget this awesome promo to help build the match too.
Gotta tell you, I cannot believe what I just saw, Owen. Please tell me why. Why this despicable act?
Why what?
I don't understand.
You want to know why? Bret Hart, you're nothing but a selfish person. I went in there in a tag team match for the biggest match of my life. It was a dream come true. I thought I had the best partner in the world, my own brother, but you're too selfish, like I've said all along. Your ego is too big. You only worry about yourself, Bret.
Bro,
you don't
Owen,
care about me.
Unbelievable in front of your entire family.
I
Your
don't
family
care about
watching you.
anybody. I was concerned about myself and my whole family. The biggest opportunity in my life. I had a chance, Bret, and you stripped it away from me. You took it away from me, Bret, because you're too selfish. All you had to do was just tag me. My hand was there. Just tag me. I knew your leg was bad. I was aware of that. Just tag me. But you're too selfish. You just want to put your sharpshooter on. I could have won the match. I don't need you with a bad leg doing it, Bret. You're too damn selfish. And that's why you're sitting there with a bad leg. And that's why I kicked your leg out of your leg.
Owen, let me ask you something.
Yeah, that's a classic Botchamania interview right there. That's like a fun one.
Yeah, because you kick your leg out of your leg. So, but no, yeah, you also got to understand. Think about the pay, because like that was from Royal Rumble versus the Quebecers.
Yeah.
And you also got to understand at the end, Owen Hart and at the end, Bret Hart and Lex Luger won that Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
The co-winners. So, and it's funny because like Owen Hart faced Bret Hart at WrestleMania 10 in the first match, but then Bret Hart won at the end and beat Yokozuna for the title at the end of WrestleMania 10.
Yeah. And then Owen walks out.
Exactly, Owen Hart walks out. And then you're like, oh, cool. And then that's when it starts building because they have one of the best steel cage matches at SummerSlam.
Yeah. Maybe we'll talk about that if we ever do a top 5 SummerSlam all-time matches. Another thing that I found interesting with the match was that Owen Hart hit a tombstone, which I thought was really weird because I'm like, I always thought there was like they were very strict about protecting like, you know, people's finishers. And I'm obviously that's the Undertaker's finisher. So it was like weird to see that as just thrown in there. He just hit a tombstone. Do you remember that?
Yeah, it came out of nowhere, but also remember, like Taker was out.
Yeah, so maybe it was like, well, he's out. He's not on the card, so I can hit a tombstone.
He's not on the card. You guys don't understand. Remember, Taker did that Undertaker fly off to the middle of nowhere in Sacramento after the Rumble when they put him in the casket. So yeah, he wasn't there. So
yeah,
I guess he didn't have a say.
And he was out injury, I'm guessing, or just time off. The Undertaker?
No, I think it was more of a time off because he didn't come back to almost SummerSlam, remember? And then they did the Undertaker, the different Undertakers, like the sightings for the Undertaker that DiBiase brought. The other Undertaker, which was Brian, the one from DOH Chains.
Yeah, that's not. Yeah, that if we ever do an all-time favorite SummerSlam matches, that will not be on my list. Just a spoiler alert.
Yeah, Undertaker versus Undertaker, and then what they ended with, like if they did on the Coliseum video, like Leslie Nielsen and his partner from Naked Guns, they look into the casket and basically,
yeah,
it's like smoke, like the there's nothing there.
Yeah, I remember that.
But that's old school.
That's when he came back with the purple, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was like the first time, right? That he wore like the purple and the black?
Yeah, it was the first time. Because remember, like, Paul Bearer goes, no, that's not my Undertaker. And all of a sudden, like, like at SummerSlam, it took a while. And like, people, where is he at? And then you just finally see that shadow. And that shadow pops up and then he comes out in the purple.
Yeah. All right. So that's my number 4. What's your number 3 all time?
So my number 3 of all time that would have to be WrestleMania 12, Iron Man match between uh, the Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels and Bret the Hitman Hart, Anaheim, California. Like I said, I was also part of that one. So, but yeah, once again, the reason, I guess, because I understand the business and I'm part of it, but I love the story. It felt real because it was, and yeah, it proved like you could have people wrestle for an hour, which it was a little over an hour because you know what happened at the end, and it showed how to begin, how to build slowly. You know, have a good match at the beginning, just and then just and at the end just pick up the pace.
But let me ask you
And
something. How did you feel? Because you were there. I was there too. How did you feel in the moment when you were there watching it? Did you feel the same way that you feel now? Like, this is like an awesome match.
yeah, I actually did because I enjoyed it. Like it was, it really told a story, and I was into it. You see, you should be watching wrestling, not analyzing it. You should literally just be watching wrestling, and that's when I watch matches like that, I just want to watch. I don't want to analyze it.
Because I remember I was like in the second to last row. I was like way back there. Where were you sitting?
I was way up there too,
Yeah.
man. I was like way up there in the pond.
Yeah,
It's
I was
actually
sitting
behind
there,
the-
and I remember like the crowd was like quiet, and I remember even feeling bored like during the match. Like, fuck, this is like taking forever. This is long, and maybe that's why. I mean, maybe that's why like there's not a lot of 1 hour Iron Man matches, right? Because maybe the casual fans or some fans don't want to don't have the patience to sit through a 1 hour match. But I remember at the time being like, man, this is dragging. And then of course, like the last minute is like the last couple minutes get like super exciting, right?
Yeah. No, it's yeah. Well, like I said, I like it because it built. I like because it had a good story. I really enjoyed the match. You know, other people, like you said, you thought it was boring, but I felt like no, I like the back and forth. I like wrestling. I
Yeah.
like the aspects of basics. I like that other people think it's boring. I like because it show what's the whole point of wrestling if you can't wrestle? It's like, you know, this is like okay, you know, certain things, but at the end of the day, it still says wrestling on the marquee.
Yeah. And this is one that I went back and watched recently. Like, all right, let me like watch it again. But I still kind of felt the same way. I kind of like zoned out, and then I got into it at the end. Like, it was like a really good like. But you talk about it like they built that like, and I don't know at that time if any other two wrestlers could have done that. I mean, really, who else was there that could have done what they did? Like the way they executed it, no pun intended. Like, who else could have done that in the WWF at that time?
Not many people because the technical aspects of it. But yeah, it's like what I like about it, and I think that's what you and other people might see as boring. It's like it built slowly. It's like they didn't give you everything right away. How about that? You know, and I appreciate that because like when you give somebody everything right away, then they don't care. You know, things have to mean something.
I
Things
think
have to mean something.
that type of match would be a harder sell even now, like especially now.
Yeah,
Don't you think?
because basically we live in instant society and people want instant everything. But yeah, I think matches like that, I like builds, you know, things that build up. It's what stands out. Like you said, see, you build, it's slow, but if you keep building, and at the end it gets all exciting, that's when you guys go, oh. So yeah, you gotta follow the story, watch the match.
You know, one of the things that like now after watching like shoot interviews with like Bret Hart and stuff like that I paid more attention to, and I was like, damn, that was like really cool and really smart that they did that. How typically when you would have like sometimes good guy versus good guy like matches and the match ends, like the one that lost would usually go and they would embrace and shake hands, right? And be like, all right, good match, good game. And this one, Bret Hart just gets out of the ring and he leaves like pissed off. And I thought that was like, it was different because it felt like, wait a minute. And then after listening to like the shoot interviews, like they did that on purpose to kind of like set it up for the future, right?
Yeah, that's what that match was originally supposed to happen back the next year, WrestleMania 13.
Yeah, that's one of the rumors, I think, or that's what Bret has said in like on shoot interviews.
Yeah, and after like Shawn Michaels lost his smile, that title just went haywire. That Bret Hart wins it. Next night, Sid beats Bret Hart because of Austin. Sets up the match with Austin and Bret. Michaels
Can
became
you
a commentator at WrestleMania.
Speaking of losing a smile, do you know all the lyrics to "Tell Me a Lie"?
Now at the top of my head.
Not gonna lie, that one is in my playlist somewhere.
Somewhere, that's the thing you said. Somewhere, It's like,
that wasn't a bad song.
hey, so wait, so what about You Start the Fire, the one that Bret Hart used to
That's another good one too. How about the Macho Man one? When you looked into my eye. Remember that?
They're like what the SummerSlam match made in heaven, right?
I remember back in the day, I was like, how come these songs aren't like on MTV or the radio?
They did come out later and then in the DVD in the CDs.
No, but I mean, like, how come they don't get radio play? I love these songs.
Yeah, the whole point is, remember, they're exclusive to WWF, WWE,
Yeah,
because that's all Jim Johnson,
yeah.
And Jim Johnson had like some really cool songs, but there's also like they have like one thing about me, I love wrestling music. I really love wrestling music, and I get really into it, things like that. But yeah, I try to get as much wrestling music as possible.
I know that for a fact because when we were talking a couple of weeks ago when we were doing the test pilot, testing out the podcast stuff, you knew some WCW songs that I had never heard. And maybe that'll be a future podcast where we just talk about our favorite WCW themes. Because some of the ones you pulled out, I was like, I've never heard this theme.
No, I never heard of this theme. Say, I want that theme. No, but yeah, it's one of those musics that like that has copyright issues, so you can't get it.
Yeah, so that's a future episode right there. Top 5 WCW themes. All right, so let's go. My turn, right? Number 3.
Yeah.
So I have Bret versus Austin at number 3, and this one was actually like my number 4 or 5, and Owen versus Bret was my number 3.
Why did you change it?
I watched all the matches. Like I watched all the matches, and then I was like, man, that's like that's an awesome match. And that is a match that I don't go back to it on a yearly basis, but every now and then when I don't know, every couple of years I'll like watch it again. That's like just a great match. Like it just felt like real. It felt like a real fight. And I think he said, Bret, in an interview, like it's kind of like the way they started the match. It's like if you really hated someone's guts, you wouldn't lock up and go for an armbar. Like he just like tackles him. Oh no, Austin, right? Tackles him like right from the get-go.
Yeah.
It was like this ain't gonna be the Survivor Series match. It's just gonna be a straight brawl.
You see, that's what's good about like wrestlers like Steve Austin and Bret Hart. You can have a technical masterpiece and you can have a heck of a brawl. And by doing that, you can have different styles and be telling different stories, and the crowd's still into it either way.
Yeah, and it was just, too technical. Austin at this point was still kind of like doing some technical, like more at the Survivor Series. And this point, he was doing a little more brawling. But yeah, it was just an awesome match. And then the double turn Like, I don't know of any other. I mean, is there any other angle where they've done the double turn where one guy turns face, one guy turns heel? I mean, I can't even think of one. Like the way they were able to pull that off, that's pretty rare.
Yeah, that is rare because like right now is like there is not really double turns. You only get one turn. That's it, and
Can you think
sometimes
of
it's
one?
very.
Was there another time where there was like a double turn?
Trying to think.
Maybe. I mean, it's not the same, but maybe Rock Austin, but that was different. That was like on the fly. That was like, and it was also like Toronto, which is known for going against the grain too.
What? Oh, you think you're saying Hogan Rock?
Yeah, because I mean, but that one's different. It was like the crowd they wanted to cheer Hogan. It wasn't like it was part of the match. It was like the Bret Austin match. They calculated it like this is what's gonna happen, and it happened.
It's yeah, like they played on people's emotions and how people reacted to Austin at the time, and how people were getting upset because Bret Hart is saying, "I can't stand the United States, Canada, and other countries, Germany, they or the UK. They actually respect me, and some Americans took it bad, and yeah, they decided to go with Austin. So they were already getting there. They just needed a reason to hate Bret more and to appreciate Austin more."
Yeah, very true. All right, so let's move on to the number 2 all time. What's your number 2 all time?
My number 2 of all time, it's Ronda Rousey, Kurt Angle versus Triple H and Stephanie. And the reason I can say that one is because anybody can watch this match and understand it. And there was anticipation for the build-up to see how Rousey would do in her first match. And overall, I mean, this was like a show that people wanted to watch it, because they weren't sure what was going to happen. It wasn't a Bam Bam Bigelow versus LT, but if everybody did their part, it was like Stephanie was there being the hatred queen, evil queen, tried to get in the nerves of Ronda Rousey, Triple H and Kurt Angle. Oh my God, like it was all well built. The crowd really was just watching the match, and everything built until the end. And yeah,
Was that the best debut match of someone you've ever seen?
debut match. Yeah, I think like because it was the anticipation. So many people wanted to see this. It built so much on it, like it was like the huge hype, and just the fact that everybody was in their game for this match, and everyone was doing their part and working hard for this match. Yeah, I think that this could have been one, but I had to look through the whole series of WrestleManias to see that. Or you talk about WrestleMania
Well, I'm
debuts
thinking like, not just like the first time someone has ever wrestled. And I think in this, even though Ronda Rousey's an athlete, she wasn't a pro wrestler. She was a MMA fighter. Like, she wasn't known for wrestling. Like, I think it'd be different if it was someone's debut, but they were pro wrestlers for years before that. She was like coming out of MMA.
Yeah, but you also gotta understand that she was originally a wrestling fan. So it's not like she like didn't want to, just like some other people that just go into the business just to go into the business. She actually had some sort of background into it, because remember, her name was Ronda Rousey. She even asked Roddy Piper for permission to use that. So that's how she came up with that name.
Yeah.
And
But that
she
was
was actually a fan. So that tells you something, like you want it. Because there's a lot of people they're not even fans and they join the business. And it's okay, man, you use it as a springboard. But like, yeah, they're not really into the business. But she actually understood the business, being a fan, and that's what made this more possible, because it wasn't somebody who just didn't want to be there.
Yeah.
It was somebody who actually wanted to be there, and the crowd was into it because they didn't know what's going to happen, and people and no, every move meant something. No loss of motion, whether it be how the facial expressions, things like that, the running away, everything meant something. And that's why I like this match, because it's anybody could understand this match, no matter what age or whatever. You could understand this match because it's very easy to understand this match. And that's one thing. It's like you can have a great match, but if it's too difficult for somebody to understand it, not everyone's going to understand it. This was a very easy to understand
And
match.
it was supposed to be, from what I mean, if I don't know, you can tell me if I'm wrong, but it was supposed to be, wasn't it supposed to be Rock and Ronda versus Triple H and Stephanie? Because they kind of built that up at the WrestleMania play button WrestleMania.
Yeah, unfortunately, like the Rock thing didn't work out. How about that? Because he had because the Rock or Dwayne Johnson always had his Hollywood movies that you need to make, and his schedule was up the wall. So yeah, but Kurt Angle was a great addition. Especially knowing Kurt Angle's history, knowing his wrestling background.
It made sense because there were like two legitimate like grapplers, right?
Yeah.
So to speak, like two legitimate, one's jiu-jitsu, the other one's a Olympic gold medalist. So it did make sense.
See, that's what I'm saying. It's like things are understand easy. It's not hard to understand. Anybody could watch this match, and I feel like they would understand it.
And it was a fun match, and like you're saying, it doesn't matter. Like maybe Stephanie isn't known like as this technical wrestler or a great. She's not really even a wrestler. She's more of a character, but she played her part. Like people wanted to see her get armbarred and beat up. Right?
Yep. They want to see her get. They want Ronda Rousey to get her hands on her, and that's the thing. It's like you want that built, and when you finally get it, the crowd just explodes.
Yeah. That was a fun match. I do remember liking that match, and I remember being like really impressed with it. Like, damn, this was like a fun match, and the people were like super into it. And I know, all right. So number 2, I think we're at, right? So I have Brett versus Piper at number 2, WrestleMania 8. So let me kind of like paint the picture for you. So I didn't watch wrestling in the 80s. Like I just didn't watch it. When I was in late 1990, I lived in an apartment and I had a friend that was like super into wrestling, WWF. And I vividly remember walking with him to like a Ralph's grocery store. For those of you that don't know, Ralph's is like a grocery store here in SoCal. I don't know if it's around in other places. But I went with him and we went to the magazine section. And he's like, oh, look. Like he showed me like the WWF magazine. And at that time, it was like the Survivor Series was going to happen. And I remember like him showing me, oh, this guy's this guy, just showing me who all the wrestlers are. And I remember vividly seeing like the black silhouette of like where the Undertaker was going to be, like the mystery partner. So I don't know like how soon after that, but I think in like that spring and summer, I just like got into wrestling. I just like got into it. And I would walk like a mile, half a mile to this video store. You know, back in the day when you had to go to video stores if you wanted to watch a movie or something. And I would go to this place called the Video Hut to rent VHS tapes. And I literally went through like and rented like all the Survivor Series, all the WrestleManias, all the like everything from the 80s. So like I kind of did like a binge of all the wrestling events and then caught up to like everything that was happening. So Yeah, I was like hooked. I was like in. So then like yeah, so then I watched all that, and then I remember on Superstars watching like the Jake the Snake Trust Me stuff with like the Warrior and Macho Man. So I was like that whole year, that was like my year where I like became a fan. So then the next year was WrestleMania 8. And I remember asking my mom like, can I watch? Can you order that for me? And this is, I don't know if you remember, I'm sure you remember back in the day, you couldn't just subscribe to a streaming network, or you couldn't push a button on demand on your controller. Back then, I remember my mom calling the cable company and telling them, I want to order this. And my mom only really spoke Spanish, so it was kind of funny having her like ask for WrestleMania. But anyway, so yeah, she ordered the pay-per-view for me. And I remember it was just me by myself. And I'm sitting there on my couch, and I remember having like Tostitos with cheese dip. That was just me by myself, like super hyped watching WrestleMania 8. So yeah, that's why I think Brett versus Piper, like it kind of like has that nostalgia thing for me. Like it was the first time like I ever saw like a WrestleMania live, and that was like the match that stood out, right? And I kind of feel like it's a match that doesn't really get talked about that much. I think it's not like one that comes up a lot. Like you hear about Shawn versus Bret Austin. You hear about like Taker versus Michaels, right? You hear about like all the TLC matches, the ladder matches, Shawn versus Razor, but you don't really hear about Bret versus Roddy Piper. And I honestly think it's one of the best matches that, I mean, it made your list too.
True.
And don't you think it gets probably talked less than some of the other ones?
Yeah, it doesn't get the credit it should, but you gotta understand that a lot of people see wrestling as spectacle. So they always think about the big ones because they always talk about the Randy Savage, Ricky Steamboat, WrestleMania 3, WrestleMania 3, Andre the Giant versus Hulk Hogan, you know. And like, yeah, it's the name value of it. But the Piper Bret Hart was really good. There's history behind that. You know, it was, I believe, number two in the event. Like it was Tito Michaels the first one. This is the first match.
I remember that. And I was a big like, and watching all the VHSs, I was like a huge Tito Santana fan because he was Mexican. So I remember Matador. I was like rooting for him, and you know Michaels beats him. And I saw recently that in the match, the Tito Santana tells Michaels, "You have a booger in your nose," and Shawn Michaels, like you can see him turn around and like take out the booger. I don't know if you've ever seen that.
I don't think I paid attention to that.
Yeah, Shawn Michaels said it in an interview. He's like, "Yeah, when I started that, we were, you know, when they're lock eyes, like face to face." And he's like, yeah, Tito Santana told me I had a booger in my nose. And if you go back and watch the match, you can like read Tito Santana's lips, and he tells him, you have a booger in your nose. And Shawn Michaels turns around and like takes the booger out of his Hey, Tito Santana was looking out for him. You can't be you can't be the sexy boy with a giant booger in your nose. Yeah, so that to me, like, and that's one that I watched back recently too, and I'm like, man, I think there's the bias, is the nostalgia, and it's a great match, and it was, I think, in going back and watching like WrestleManias, like all of Piper's matches were just, they were like, I don't know why, it felt like all his matches were double countouts, like just brawls, or like, I don't know. They just like, they didn't feel like good matches. That was like, man, that was like a good match, and he got beat clean.
Yeah, because remember what I said, it's like Piper didn't get beat, that was his first pinfall loss.
Yeah. And what I liked about it too was it's kind of like relatable because it's kind of like it was two friends, and in that promo he talks about like I've known you since you were a little kid, and I've been to your house. Like they're two friends, but they both had something that they wanted that one of the friends had. And the match started like sportsman like, right? Like they're like, all right, we're gonna have a clean match.
Yeah.
But then it got dirty because it's like, hey, I want to win that. I want to win what you have. I want that. So it's kind of like, to me, it felt like relatable, like that. I could see that happening with two friends, like maybe fighting over a girl or a promotion, right? Like you're friends, but you're gonna step on his neck to get what you want.
Yeah, certain people will do that, no doubt. Especially in this business, there's a lot of people that will do that.
And at the end, you see, like when I like the part where he picks up like the ring bell, and he's gonna hit him, and he starts just like looking around, kind of like trying to, and then the crowd's like, no, don't do it. And he kind of just like puts it down, like, all right, I'm not gonna do it. Except for this one guy in the crowd that's like a big Piper fan. You remember that guy? It was a guy wearing like a Piper shirt and the Piper jacket, and he's like, hit him with the Yeah, but yeah, that's a great and then the counter, that was like a cool counter. I had never seen someone counter like get a pinfall like that, which was the way Brett won is like a way that character would win. He would find a win to reverse a move or do like a sneaky counter, right?
Yeah, but remember he also used that at the Survivor Series. He beat Austin with that move because it was still the sleeper hold, it was $1 million dream.
It was, yeah.
But he used that.
The $1 million dream. Yeah, he used the same finish.
The Cobra clutch, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, and then that was the finish. And that was actually that's how he beat Austin in that match.
Speaking of that, what always confused me was Stone Cold put on the Cobra clutch really good, or the $1 million dream in that match with Brett. And then it seemed like he forgot how to do it when he wrestled Savio Vega. You remember how he put it on him? It looked like he was like hugging him or something. All right. So now let's go to the number one match.
Okay.
And I'm going to let you talk for a bit because I'm 2 IPAs in. So I'll be right back. Talk.
Really?
Let the crowd know about your number one match.
All right. No, my number one match it's a really good match. It was great in my perspective because it told a good story and people were really into it. It's a match it's from Wrestlemania 25. It's Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels. That match had everything. It was back and forth. People were going crazy over it. There was people thought, this could end here, it's going there. They went slowly to build all the way to the end. It was just nice back and forth. The World Professional Wrestling, it was great. There was a story behind it, like I keep saying. Like Undertaker was, Shawn Michaels was playing like the White Knight thing, like the guy, or like the religion guy, and then the Undertaker was supposed to be like the evil guy. But man, it was just a back and forth. Good face expressions, overall. Wrestling in general, it shows a lot. It shows a lot when you see people's face expressions and the way how matches get built, and when people put their heart into the match, you can tell. You could tell when people like phone it in, or you can tell when people actually wanna show you a showcase.
I'm back.
And that's what WrestleMania.
So tell me,
25.
Tell me really quick, what was your match?
It's my number one is WrestleMania 25. It's Shawn Michaels versus The Undertaker.
Oh, that's right.
I thought that match was great. Like I said, I thought it had a build, like literally, Shawn Michaels is supposed to be the guy for religion, and The Undertaker is supposed to be the evil guy. So it was like a contradicting clash, but like I said, it built slowly, and it told a hell of a story. It was like I was saying, if the face expressions was what made this match great too. The back and forth, and people were really into it. And that's one thing. It's like you can watch a match, but if nobody's into it, doesn't mean that much. But when people get into it, that's when you're like, wow, this is a moment, And that match had moments, and everyone's like, oh my god, they actually thought Undertaker was going to lose this one, and that's what you want. You want to give that aspect of like this could happen, but all of a sudden you don't get it. It just comes out of nowhere, and that to me that's why I think that's number one, because it felt real, it was different, it was face expressions, everything that you want in a wrestling match was there. The crowd was into it. Two very good personas, a story that built. Now it was just a random thing they threw out there. It built within time, I really appreciate that match. That match did a lot, It was like, and when I watched it, oh my god! When I saw it live. Like when I was watching it on pay-per-view, I was like, whoa, this is a really good match. And after all these years, I still think this is a great match.
I think, and this one didn't, just spoiler, it didn't make my top 5. But I did go and watch, I watched it, after I heard, all about it. And thought, man, this is an awesome match. And I went back and watched it and was like, man, this is a really cool match. But it still didn't make my top 5, but it felt almost like the perfect match. I didn't really think there was any flaws to the match. It just felt like if you were to drop a perfect match, that was the perfect match.
Yeah, and the funny thing that you say it's a perfect match, and a lot of the guys in the back thought it was a perfect match. Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker did not think it was a perfect match, because being a perfectionist in the business, you always see your match, you always think you could do better something else.
Well, that's why that's why they are who they are, though, because they're perfectionists, and it's still not good enough for them.
But that was to me, I agree with you. That could be considered a perfect match. When you have the crowd, the story, the back and forth, everything felt like it flowed. The face expressions, the psychology, everything was in this match. And people felt it. They were watching. They enjoyed it. Yeah, it couldn't top it. Like the Randy Orton, last match with Cena, and that just it was a Randy Orton, Cena, I think a Big Show, an Edge.
It was Edge,
match, right?
Big Show, and Cena, I think, was Edge, the main event, right? Cena.
Yeah. No, wasn't it Randy Orton and Triple H?
Oh, I don't know, because I know. Well, they wrestled in 2 straight years.
Yeah, I think it was Randy Orton, Triple H that they closed that WrestleMania with, and after that match, nothing could touch it.
and I went back and I watched that one, and 2026, right, was the year after WrestleMania 26.
Yeah, the one from AZ.
And I remember back then even thinking this was, why would you try to top? It's not gonna top it. And when I went back and watched it, it didn't top it. It's kind of why did they do a rematch? I wish they would have just left it as that match and that's it.
Yeah, but they what they did for that WrestleMania 26 is they upped the stakes. If Michaels loses, he retired, and Michaels wanted to give his best, and it was a totally different story. It had different aspects towards WrestleMania 26. But I totally agree with you. I think 25, they shouldn't even mess with it. But they always want to continue the story, and Michaels want to make that his last one. But yeah, overall,
I mean, still good match. It was still a great match, but man,
it's
25.
Not 25. Yeah, it's not 25.
And it didn't make my top 5. And like I said, it's not. These are our favorite. These are not we're saying the best. I could say that's probably better than most all of my matches that I have in my top 5, but it's not in my top 5 favorite.
Yeah, that's true. You know, that's like I said. I look. There's 3 ways you can look at us in a business and look through the eyes. Okay, look at us as a fan, look at us as a wrestler, or look at us as a business. And I look at it many different ways, and then you see the hard work, and you pay attention to that more now. Because like back in the day, I would just pay attention to like the star power, the Hulk Hogan, and not pay attention to the work rate, you know, the Randy
Yeah.
Savage, Ricky Steamboat.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's your number 1. My number 1. Let me play a little audio clip to get us into my number 1.
Do you know what? The Rock will say this about you, Hollywood Hulk Hogan. You are, without a shadow of a doubt, a legend. You are, without a shadow of a doubt, an icon. Quite possibly the best ever. And seeing as you are back in the WWF because of Vince McMahon, The Rock has one thing to say. You talked about headlining, main eventing, WrestleMania after WrestleMania after WrestleMania. Well, Hulk Hogan, The Rock says, how do you feel about headlining one more WrestleMania with The Rock?
Oh my God! The Rock is
Yeah, so that's my number 1. Surprise, surprise. And I say surprise because you know how much of a Hulkamaniac I am.
Yeah, I know that.
So
But there's a story behind it. You know that it was supposed to originally be Austin.
yeah, but you know what? Looking back at it, I don't know if he could have had the same match with Hogan that The Rock did, because even though I'm a huge Hulkamaniac, I at that time I was already training. Right, this was like 2002. So I had already gone through training, so I kind of understood more like what it takes to make a good match. And in watching that, I was like, The Rock made Hulk Hogan look like really good. Like he like bumped for him, sold for him. Like I think they've said that The Rock pivoted like once he heard the reaction Hollywood Hogan was getting. And he was like, all right, I guess I'm the heel. So he started kind of selling and taking bumps like a heel, which made the crowd get even more into it, right? Because the crowd was already pro Hogan. So, yeah, to me, it was just, I remember watching this match in my parents' apartment, and all my friends came over to watch it. I think we might have been not watching it legally either. I think we had one of those black boxes. So
That's a good idea to say that right now, but
I think the statute of limitations is up.
the statute of limitations, yeah.
But I remember watching that with my friends, and we were all like wrestling. We were all like Hulk Hogan fans. So it was like me, my friend Billy, Kirby. It was a bunch of us, and we were all, who was there too? Matt, I think.
Show off, Matt?
Yeah, he was there, I think, and he was rooting for Hogan too. So we were like all into it, and we're all like pro Hogan. And I think it was cool to see like that the way we felt, because I thought like The Rock was going to get cheered and Hogan was going to get booed. But it was like they were reacting the way we felt. So then it made the match like even better for us. But in watching it, I knew like there's no way they're going to let Hulk Hogan win. Like there's no way. And I remember my friend Kirby at that time got like really mad when Hogan lost, and he was like bummed out for the rest of the WrestleMania. But at that time I was like, they were not gonna let Hulk Hogan beat The Rock. But having said that, it was an awesome match. Like kind of like what I said about the Hogan McMahon one, like it wasn't a 5-star technical matchup, perfect matchup with no flaws. Like there was a lot of like, maybe not a lot, but there was like some botches in it. But just the crowd, like the way the crowd was into it, and kind of like the story that it told of like, here's like the guy that used to run the WWF, the guy that used to be the face of the WWF. Now he's back. But there's now a new sheriff in town. Like now there's this guy's the face. And I would say that I would say that The Rock was at this point maybe as popular or more popular than Stone Cold at this time. Would you say that's fair? Fair to say that?
Yeah, because remember Austin was like he was having more problems and issues with, and like he was at the time, like I said, he was having issues with creative, so he wasn't happy.
And I think a little bit of the shine had come off with that, with like the invasion stuff. Because I think, yeah, by then he had done the heel turn. And I think it took a little bit of the shine off of like the Stone Cold character.
Yeah, but that Stone Cold character, if it didn't happen, we wouldn't have those Kurt Angle moments with him, like Kurt Angle with that little small hat.
I thought that, I mean, I was just watching those this week. I was watching the one where like I didn't feel that way. Like I liked the paranoid, clingy Stone Cold character.
Yeah, the paranoid rattlesnake. But no, I think it was. I mean, a lot of people say, okay, you can only be that persona for so long, and that's why you always want to change it up. But I mean, people feel like Goldberg, he should never lost, but he had to lose because you can't have that streak. I don't know about the Undertaker. I think the Undertaker could have retired with it, but that's another story. But yeah, it's like Austin showed you more comedic side,
Yeah.
And that's one thing. It's like when he was like the Steve Austin that had the title run and things like that, and was just the DTA kind of guy. He didn't have that comedic side, and when he was with Deborah and Angle, he had that comedic side. Plus, you gotta understand at the time he was hurt, Angle was hurt, and that's why like Austin, or like Angle was hurt because of the Shane McMahon match, I believe, and Austin was hurt because of the Booker T ordeal. He was dropped on the table, and I guess he was hurt for a little while. That's why they had more of those angles, more of those skits, but they were great because you still remember to this day Kurt Angle with the little hat.
Yeah, I was watching the one recently where it's like Stone Cold, Kurt Angle, Undertaker, I think Kane, and maybe Chris Jericho, and they're preparing for like the Survivor Series. And like McMahon's like giving orders, and Stone Cold's just repeating everything McMahon's saying. And I think he like slaps Undertaker like really hard on the back or something, and Undertaker just gives him this look like, "You put your hands on me again, I'll whoop your." I like that character, but hey, we're not talking about Stone Cold. What do you think about the Rock Hollywood Hogan match?
Like I did. To be perfectly honest, I'll tell you the match that I thought that I was waiting for WrestleMania. Oh, that's 18, I believe. The match I wanted to see was DDP versus Christian, but yeah,
that was the second best match.
I know I knew that match was gonna be good. I don't know why, but if you're talking about nostalgia and just telling a story and the crowd being into it,
has there been a crowd more into a WrestleMania match than that one? From beginning, like from the get-go.
Well, wouldn't you say the match between Warrior and Hogan at WrestleMania 6? Because they were going back and forth?
I don't know. Maybe it was the technology, but the Rock Hogan one sounded a lot louder.
Yeah, but no, yeah, Rock Hogan, like it was like you said, it wasn't like all these crazy moves. It was no waste of motion.
Dude, Hulk Hogan, they lock up and he throws them, and the crowd acted like he hit a triple moonsault 450 splash. They did a lockup and he threw him.
Yeah, that's what you milk the crowd. You do that. That's when you get the crowd in the palm of your hands, and that's when like people are just watching to watch, not to critique.
Yeah. I also think it was like perfect time, perfect place, like perfect two people. Like it was Hogan had been gone from what, since 92? Right?
Actually, it's
93?
KOR 93, right? Because he left right after the KOR.
So he had been gone like almost 10 years. Like almost like 9 years, right?
Yeah, he was gone for a while.
So he was gone. And people didn't care about Hollywood Hogan. He was back in the WWF. People wanted to see Hulk Hogan. And in that show, you could tell people wanted Hulk Hogan back. Like the real American Hulk Hogan. That's who they were remembering.
Yeah, Canada is very different. You know, they're gonna go against you. They always say kind of like over there, Canada's bizarre world. So
yeah. So that's my number one match.
Yeah.
So that was our top 5. Do you have any? Did you come across any honorable mentions that didn't quite crack the top 5?
Yeah, like I was telling you, Owen Hart versus Brett. I thought that was really good. I didn't crack top 5 of mine, but yeah, there's another. I'm not gonna say like Undertaker versus King Kong Bundy WrestleMania 11. No, not gonna go there. Because but yeah, there's been a lot of good matches over the years. You know.
I thought you always said you like Undertaker versus Giant Gonzalez.
No. No. I know Undertaker didn't like that match. I'll tell you that. But no, there's honorable mentions. There's just like a lot of. It just depends what you want to see. How about that?
Yeah, I'll give you my list, and then you can let me know if any pop up for you. So I have Taker versus HBK, WrestleMania 25. That didn't make my top 5, but it was like right there. HBK versus Chris Benoit versus Triple H at WrestleMania 20. Another honorable mention. That was a really good match.
You know what? They duplicated it. Remember?
No.
You forgot about they duplicated with what was it? Randy Orton and Bautista versus Bryan Danielson or Daniel Bryan.
Oh yeah.
They duplicated that exact match.
No way. Like,
how was the?
You mean the story or like hold for hold?
No, just the story. Because remember like the last part, Bautista taps out, and the last part of Chris Benoit.
Yeah, well, what do they say? If it ain't, don't they say nothing's original in wrestling?
No, but yeah, it's like they literally redid the whole match.
Yeah. So that was an honorable mention. Also, Shawn Michaels versus Kurt Angle at WrestleMania 21.
Ooh, that was a good one.
Yeah, that's one that was like in the back of my mind, and then I rewatched it and I was like, yeah, this was like a good match. I remember liking it when I saw it live.
And that was a really good match.
And my last honorable mention is Hogan Warrior. Not
WrestleMania 6.
Yeah, not a technical Dave Meltzer match, but it was just like the story, the crowd. Like, I think at that point I don't think we had seen something like that in WWF where it was like Hulk Hogan face like another guy that was a good guy, and right, he was only fighting like bad guys like King Kong Bundy, Andre the Giant, right?
Yeah.
This was like the top 2 good guys fighting each other and finding out who's the best one.
Yeah, that was because remember when the Mega Powers explode, Randy Savage was the bad guy.
Yeah, so that was my honorable mention. I'm gonna play us out to our next and last part of the show. All right, Sexy Chino, it's time to put you on the hot seat. We're going to play a little game here that I will admit I ripped off from another podcast.
You're very original, aren't you?
No shame. No shame. It's 20 questions. I listened to this podcast called Game Scoop. It's like a video game podcast, and they do like video game 20 questions. So in 20 questions, you have to find out what video game it is. So the trick
What video
is,
game it is?
yeah. So this is a wrestling episode. We're doing it with wrestlers, and specifically a wrestler that has performed at a Wrestlemania. So you're going to have 20 questions, and you can only ask questions that I can answer with a yes or no. So you can't ask me what Wrestlemania was he in, because then you would get it like in 2 questions.
Question.
You have to narrow it down with asking only questions where I can answer yes or no.
So it's only 20 questions, correct?
Yeah. You get 20 questions, and like I told you beforehand, I'll give you the opportunity of calling someone, of tagging somebody in. But if you do that, you lose a question.
So then it becomes 19 questions.
Yeah. So you get to call somebody if you're stuck and be like, "Hey, these are the clues that I have. Do you know what wrestler this might be?" So that's an option that you can use there. So just to clarify, 20 questions and a guess. So 20 questions. If you go through all your 20 questions, then you have to guess.
Okay.
All right. Let's get started.
So I got to ask you something like,
Yeah. You got to try to find out what wrestler it is.
all right. Okay. Is this wrestler, it had to be yes or no, right?
Yep.
Okay. Is this wrestler a male?
Yes.
Okay. Is this wrestler from the 80s?
Can you be more specific? Like in the WWF in the 80s?
Oh, you need specifics now? Okay.
No, I'm just saying, like, do you mean like that he was in the WWF in the 80s?
Yeah, because like you're asking me like, okay, it's WrestleMania, so it has to be.
No,
Like,
he's not from the 80s.
okay, it's not from the 80s. Okay, so it's gotta be like 90s. All right. Is this wrestler well known?
I wouldn't say he's well known.
Oh wow, so mid Carter. All right, now well known. Is this wrestler has this wrestler wrestled in WrestleMania 5?
No.
Okay. So it's gotta be 90s. All right. Is this wrestler had a impactful match in WrestleMania history?
I would say no. That's 5 questions.
Okay, I still got some more in.
You got 15 more.
All right. Is this wrestler somebody who was repackaged?
Has he been repackaged?
Yeah.
Like just in the history of wrestling? Like in WWF?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So he's not. It's gotta be Samir Carter. Has this wrestler changed his name to work for WWF or WWE?
Yes.
Okay. He's a mid Carter. Has this wrestler ever won a match at WrestleMania?
Let me fact check that really quick.
Oh my God! Really? Oh wow! What's a good host? Sure, I gotta fact check it all.
Let me make sure that I'm that I know for sure if he's ever won or not. Let me see. Give me a second. I'll tell you right now, really quick. Let me just look at the card. This makes for good podcasting right here. So
yeah, it shows that you're not very prepared for it yet. That's what it means. Like, well, we're live, folks. We're live.
We're doing it live.
We're live.
What's the Jim Ross one? We're live, pal.
We're live, pal. Like, say it. Okay, can we restart? No. We're live, pal. We're live.
He has never won a WrestleMania match.
Never. Okay. Midcard. No, I want a WrestleMania match. Has this wrestler ever gone for a title?
Clarify that. What does that mean?
Like going for a title match. Had a title shot.
Where?
At WrestleMania. Because that's the whole point of this, right? WrestleMania.
Let me fact check that really quick.
Oh, wow.
All right, let me see. Hold on. Give me a second. This is where I should play that little, like, elevator music.
Yeah, dude. You gotta get your Jeopardy music right now.
This is when you know that I really prepared for this part of the show. No.
Okay, he's never gone for a title. All right, how many more questions do I have?
You're at 9 questions. You have 11 more.
Okay, 11 more. Mid-Carter never won a title. Non-80s. Okay, has this wrestler opened WrestleMania?
Did he open WrestleMania?
Yeah.
Or did he open it on that WrestleMania, or has he ever opened one? What's the question?
Has he ever opened WrestleMania?
No.
Okay. All right, that counts that out. Has this wrestler gone over 30 minutes in a match?
And what?
In WrestleMania? That's what we're talking about, right?
Yeah, hold on. Let me see. Let me fact check that too. My guess is a hard no, though, but I want to double check. Yeah, no.
Okay, he's never gone over 30. Has this wrestler been has this wrestler been around for a while?
What do you mean? You gotta be more specific.
Okay, that's what I'm just saying. That is this wrestler still around now?
No.
So he's already retired.
I didn't say he was retired, but he's not in the WWE.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
Retire. Then all right. Has this wrestler? Oh, he's not. Was this wrestler ever in a fast match at WrestleMania?
No.
Okay. That takes that out of the way. Has this wrestler ever had merchandise?
Has he ever had a merch?
Yeah.
How am I supposed to know that?
You told me questions, dude. I'm trying to figure it out. How popular he is.
I would say maybe he did, but it's not. It wouldn't be like a known thing. Like you would be like, oh, he had something.
All right. Because you know mid carders had merch too, right? You forgot
Yeah.
about that, right?
Yeah, but it's not one where you could say, oh, I remember this specifically that he had merch. It would be like a head scratcher for people, for a wrestling fan. Like, did he have anything? Maybe he had a shirt.
Oh. All right.
But he wouldn't be known for merch.
He wouldn't be known for merch. WrestleMania. Not long matches. No longer with the company. Is this wrestler over 6 feet tall?
Let me see how tall he is. Because I think he might be slightly over, but he could be like right at it. He's not Rey Mysterio. So he's like, I looked it up right now and they say he's at 5'11". Maybe back then he was 5'6", but he's not known like as a super tall. I would say he's like medium size. Medium height. Medium height.
Okay. So
He wasn't tall, but he wasn't known for being like short. He was like right there.
Okay. Mid card. All right. How many more questions do I have?
You have 6 and then you have to guess.
All right.
You can use a lifeline too if you want to call somebody right now.
Yeah, this time I don't think I can call anybody.
Just knock on your brother's door.
That wouldn't be nice. All right. Is this wrestler? Is this wrestler a colorful wrestler?
What does that mean?
That means like, does he like Randy Savage wear a lot of different colors?
He wore. Oh, you mean like? Do you mean like that he changed gear a lot?
Yeah.
No. He kind of wore the same gear. He might have changed like once or twice gear, but he wasn't known like, oh, he comes out with a different outfit all the time. So that's 15. You got 5 questions and a guess.
We got 5 more questions. Okay, so he has changed types, right? Okay, I know who's that.
But it was like not an obvious change. Not something drastic.
Okay. Is this wrestler? So this wrestler never main event, correct?
Main event at what?
Goddamn, what are we talking about? WrestleMania.
All right. Main event at WrestleMania? No.
Okay. Mid card or no? We'll never change the time. Oh, has this wrestler been in a battle royal at WrestleMania?
No.
Okay. So it's not one of those. Okay, so it can't be that WrestleMania. 6. So this person never won a title, right?
In the WWF? Let me see. I would say no, but let me double check. I would say a hard no, but let me double check. Mm, no. Never won a WWF title.
Okay. Cavity.
You got 2 questions and a
I
guess.
got 2 more questions and I got to guess. All right. Never won a title. Our main event. Is this wrestler? Is this wrestler? Is this wrestler ever done Make-A-Wish Foundation?
God damn. I would say he could have, but I don't think he's one that you would be like, oh yeah, I remember seeing pictures of him. He could have.
He could have?
He could have, but it's not like, he's not like a guy you would say, oh, like John Cena. Like, oh yeah, he makes a lot of, like, maybe he did. But remember, he's a mid-carder.
I got one more question, right?
One more question and a guess.
Never won a title. Dun, dun. Okay,
You're looking at...
Is this wrestler? Okay, I want like. All right. Oh, does this wrestler ever get in? Was ever in a video game?
Was this wrestler ever in a video game? Let me think of all the video games. All right, what are the WWF ones? Super WrestleMania.
You got WrestleMania. You got No Mercy. I think you got like WrestleMania, Super N64. You have all the SmackDowns. You have a Day of Reckoning. You got the KOR.
Let me check. I'm thinking no.
Superstar.
I'm thinking no. I'm gonna say no. I don't think he's
made a video game.
I don't think he's ever been in a video game. So now you have a guess.
Okay, I'll take it. He's never been in a video game.
And you could have used your lifeline. You could have called somebody.
Yeah, like somebody's gonna answer me right now at the same time. Let me see. Okay, he wasn't in a video game, so I got that out of the way. Cause it's gotta be somebody from the night. Oh no, okay, you can't do it. No, he was in a video game. He was never in a video game. Oh. Okay, I'll take a guess.
All right.
Oh wait, you said it was the first match, right? He was never part of the first match. Correct?
No, never.
Okay, then I guess. All right, he wasn't part of the first match. He was never in a video game.
That one I'm not 100% sure, but I don't think I ever remember seeing him in a video game.
He was never in a video game. All right. So this guy competed at WrestleMania for sure, right?
Yep.
60. Never been in a video game. Never had merch.
He might have had a shirt.
He
But
might
I
have
wouldn't
a
say,
shirt.
yeah, he might have had like a shirt, but I don't remember, like some wrestlers you remember like their stuff, like seeing stuff in the crowd. I don't remember ever seeing maybe a shirt, maybe.
Because if you do like like not being a video game, that counts as half the attitude error.
All right, you got to answer.
Okay, I got it.
Or you can tap out.
Hmm.
Answer or tap out.
Ever a video game.
You're trying.
So he actually competed, right? He
Yeah.
wasn't just a manager.
No, he was in a match.
Hmm. He wasn't. Okay, I'm gonna go with Bob Backlund.
Nope. Close though.
Savio Vega.
Savio Vega.
Yeah,
You-
he did have merch.
What was his merch?
He had action figures.
Oh, but when you're saying merch, you mean like, I thought you meant like clothes or like.
No, I meant all merch is everything, dude.
All right, so I messed up on that. But you think you would have got it off of that? That he had merch?
No, because I was thinking, like, was he ever part of this? Yeah, Savio Vega. No, I think Savio might have been in the game as Quang. Does that count?
Yeah, but Quang wasn't at a WrestleMania. And that was like a clue you missed. He was repackaged.
Oh, yeah, I did ask that.
You forgot about he was repackaged from Quang to Savio Vega.
Yeah. I totally forgot. I said so many questions.
Yeah. So when you ask merch, when I think merch, I think like a t-shirt, like a foam finger or something. Yeah, but you're right. I'll give you that. But I don't think you would have got it off of the merch question.
No.
Yeah. So that was the Wrestling 20 questions. So yeah, that was our show for today. So, thanks to anybody that actually listened. If there's anybody out there that actually listened to this episode, thank you.
Listen, exactly. That's the whole point. You actually listen to it.
If you actually sat through this and listened to it, thank you. Before we go, I want to throw it over to you, Sexy Chino, and let them know, like, if you got anything going on, social media that you want to plug, anything you want to plug.
Yeah, if you want to follow what I do, it's not at Dance Chino Dance, pretty much.
Where?
Twitter, Instagram, at Dance Chino Dance.
Yeah, I'll make sure to put your personal address on the podcast description too.
Yeah, that's horrible, aren't you?
Yeah. So as for me, I'm El Tiburon on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. I'm Retro Tiburon, RETROTIBURON. That's pretty much it. And so I'm gonna try to drop like one podcast at the first of every month. So this time it was obviously wrestling. Next time, I don't know. I think I might go with cartoons. Maybe like childhood cartoons. Yeah, maybe we can talk about a pup named Scooby-Doo. Yeah, so thank you, everybody.
Gummy bears and Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers and.
Yeah, I know. A couple of weeks ago, we were listening to like intro themes and theme songs. Maybe we'll do like favorite childhood like intro songs or something. So yeah. So that's it. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Thanks again, Sexy Chino, for sitting here and going through these matches with me and going through the 20 questions. We'll see you all on the other side.
Thank you.